Hi everybody, this is Jasmine. I'm coming back at you with another video in regards to pediatric vaccinations for rubeola, and rubella. Now I'm going to move to the side so you can see it. I'm just going to talk about them for a second. So, so check it out. Rubeola, rubella. How to remember the difference is that this is the oh my god one, and this is the ruby one. Okay, you want the ruby versus the oh my god statement. Okay, so this is how I remember these. It's like my little weird things, how my brain works with ADHD and everything. Okay, so rubella is airborne. Okay, now it is spread through droplets and secretions, but it lingers in the air for up to 2 hours. That's what makes it so dangerous. So the incubation period for rubeola is 8 to 12 days. Now keep that number in your mind. Close your eyes. 8 to 12. 8 to 12. 8 to 12. Okay. So now that we know it's 8 to 12 days, take that 12, put a mark in between it. So now you know it can spread 2 to 3 days before a rash, and then 3 to 5 days can be spread 1 to 2 days before the prodromal, as in symptoms to illness, okay, and then 3 to 5 days before rash and 4 days after. So, how do I remember this? I have to dissect these numbers. The numbers they have in common are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 12. Okay, so 8 to 12 days. Dissect that 1 and 2. It can be spread 2 to 3 days before symptoms occur. And then obviously they're going to get a rash. So then 3 to 5 days before their rash. And then the 4 is missing out of that. So 4 days after the rash, which has a lot to do with why we need them to be isolated for 5 days totally after that rash disappears. Because they're still contagious for those 4 days. Okay, so that's how I remember the all of the incubations and what we need to do and all other stuff for that. So I hope that sort of helped you guys out. So the main numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 to 12. Okay, all right, which will help you with rubella over here, but we're talking about rubella. So what is the main symptom? The main symptom of rubeola, the oh my god one, is the cold spots in the mouth. They're like these white, um, horrible looking spots in their mouths. Okay. Um, but how does the rash look like? Okay. So they both begin um, upwardly, but rubella, rubeola starts on your hairline. Okay. So it's a brown, reddish rash that starts on the hairline. It goes downward. Okay. So now that we have that, they're obviously going to get a fever um, because it's a rash and it's an immune response. So now there are 3 C's associated with rubeola. You have your coryza, which is inflammation of your nose and mucous membranes, which can cause you to have mucus in your nose. The next C is a cough, right? And then the next C is conjunctivitis, which is a bacteria. Okay. So, although the treatment of rubeola is hopefully the parents will give them a vaccine, but you're still going to give them antibiotics to treat this bacterial infection, right? And conjunctivitis, as everyone knows, causes pus and runny eyes. So their eyes are going to be runny. And then when that coryza, they're obviously going to have a fever because it's an immune response again. So, how do they diagnose this? You have to do a blood test. And they usually can do it with the MMR titer, um, but they just have to test your blood. The treatment the treatment is immunoglobulins, and the immunoglobulins help decrease the severity of this disease. Okay, is basically giving someone who has no immune response or has never been vaccinated against this, it gives them an extra boost so it's not so bad, so it doesn't hurt them as much. Okay, everyone hates to see children in pain, and the oh my god one is horrible. Okay, so now, like I said, you're going to have to isolate someone with rubeola for 5 days. The complications of this one, let's say they get it and it just they don't get any treatment. They're an anti-vaxxer person, which I respect everyone's decision, but for the children. Okay, so the main complications for rubeola is pneumonia. They're going to have encephalitis, which is inflammation of the brain, which can cause cognitive impairment. They are going to have diarrhea, which you will not get with rubella. You're definitely not going to get any diarrhea. They're going to have ear infections, and they're going to have seizures because of this fever. This is a really bad fever. Their fever is low grade, the rubella, but the rubeola fever is high to the point that they are probably going to get seizures, and it can cause them to be deaf. The rubeola virus attacks the brain. It's horrible. Okay, so what are we going to do? So because of this disease process, okay, it's going to cause photophobia. So what is photophobia? Photophobia is sensitive to light. So we really, as nurses, we're going to have to dim the lights, okay? The next thing we're going to have to do is give them antipyretics because we want to prevent these seizures, okay? And a fever naturally uses your water source. So we're going to have to make sure they stay hydrated because nothing's worse than having a fever in them. And then especially if it's a baby and they don't sweat appropriately because baby sweat glands aren't developed until, when are their sweat glands developed? 2 to 4, 2 to 4. Tear ducts are 2 to 4 weeks. So I want to say maybe months for sweat glands. They're not really functional until they're 2 to 4 years old. Boom. Aha. Functional as in they can control their body temperature. Woohoo! Okay. And then we're going to also make sure they have like cool humidified air to help them keep that fever down, along with that the antipyretics like Tylenol or ibuprofen. Definitely no aspirin, please Jesus. No aspirin, because if you give them aspirin and they're under the age of 12, it's going to cause Reye syndrome, and it just creates such a response in their body. And Reye syndrome is horrible. Get off subject. If you ever watched the movie with Johnny Depp where he plays that gangster who's Irish, who was just found in Florida, I forgot the name of the movie, but that guy's son dies of Reye syndrome. So check the movie out; it's really good. All right, and then bland food. Why do you want to get into bland food? Because if you have sores in your throat, do you want some heavy food going down there? Food that's irritating, that's hard to swallow, that is just horrible. That's just going to rub up against that and you're just going to want to throw it up. So definitely bland food. All right. So I hope that was sort of helpful to you guys. Oh, I'm sorry. Almost forgot. Main thing with the immunoglobulins, it has to be given within 6 days. I do believe noticing of them giving you the diagnosis for how long you've had this. Um, it's most effective if it's given within 6 days. All right. So the ruby one, the one that's not so bad with the low grade fever. So this one, how do you remember these numbers? Is that if you put them side to side, and you know the incubation time for rubeola is 8 to 12. If you add 8 plus 8, that's 16 plus 2, and you already have the 8 right there. It's 18 days. So that's how I sort of help myself remember that. Whew. And then the incubation time is 16 to 18 days, and then it can be spread 7 days before rash, and then 14 days after, which that's easy. 7, 14. 7 plus 7, easy. Okay. So now, but it is contagious up to a year. Okay. Just to let you know that. Um, Now, signs and symptoms. So, how is rubella different from rubeola? Their rash is actually fine and pink, and it begins on the face and spreads down, not the hairline. Okay. So, like I said, they're going to have a low grade fever. They're going to be tired, which is called malaise in the medical world. Um, and what happens? So, if you think about rubella, right? Just think. It starts on your face and it spreads downwards. What's right here? Your lymph nodes. Swollen posterior lymph nodes. And then you're going to have a sore throat. Okay. So that helps me remember. And if this rash is spreading and your face is swollen, it's going to make your head hurt. Your head's going to be like, oh, so much is going on right now. Okay. So, and then, but it's also, rubella is also known as the 3-day rash. So it's only the rash is only gonna be gone in 3 days, okay? But it's still contagious 14 days after that rash, okay? So no one be with this person. Oh, and I forgot, sorry. This is transmitted by droplets or secretions. They're both transmitted the same way as in urine, blood, stool, um, contact secretions when someone sneezes or coughs, but this one is spread just from droplets. It doesn't survive in air long or as long. This one survives in the air. Um, so complications of this one. This one unfortunately can cause cardiac heart defects. I do believe it can cause PDAs and pulmonary problems, but we don't have to know that. Not for our nursing school anyway. So yes. What was I gonna say? ADHD is so annoying. Okay, so cardiac heart defects, IUGR, it's gonna cause mental retardation and hearing loss and cataracts. Okay, there's a great Pigmonic on Pigmonic. I recommend everyone go see it, and it helps you like visualize everything. So, what are the nursing actions for both of these besides the photophobia? You want to make sure that you hydrate, treat that fever, tell them to take their immunizations. Any pregnant woman, don't be around them. Don't be around someone who's contagious. What else? Let me make sure I get everything that I hope to tell. Yeah, and just treat your signs and symptoms because this is a virus, so you just have to let it run its course. Now, when do we give this to children? Okay, if you think about it, a child that is months old up into a year, they have really bad immunity. The only immunity that they are getting is usually if they're breastfeeding from their mom. That's why they recommend breastfeeding up to 6 months to a year, okay? Because they don't have all of that antibodies that can help fight off a virus now or any type of condition. Um, Now, with this too, since you want to wait a year to give them this, okay? Because I do believe that, hold on real quick. All right, sorry. Had to make sure I was right before I said it out loud. Okay, so I do believe that, well, I am sure now, that these two are active viruses that are a lesser grade strand that is given to a child. So you don't want to give them this vaccine and when they're 4 months old. That's just don't. It's not. It's too much for their little bodies. So you're gonna wait at least a year to a year and a half, and then you're also going to give it to them again when they're 4 to 6 years old as a booster. Okay. So when do you give MMR? I mean, well, MMR in general too, because uh, Rosella is part of this too. So you're going to give the MMR vaccine when they're 1 to 1.5 years old, and then you're going to give it to them again when they're 4 to 6 years old. That's like maybe a booster. Um, yes. But for me, just personal story for me, I don't think that I ever got Well, I think I got the first one, but I don't think I got the second one because when I got in nursing school and had to do my titers, I had no immunity against MMR. So, pretty sure my mom was one of those people who didn't believe in vaccines. But I had my titer was low, so then they gave me MMR again. So, remember, 1.5 years old to 4 to 6 years old. And when they're 6, they have the immunity of an adult. So they're able to fight off stuff. So, yeah. So I hope you guys like my little Rubeola, Rubella video. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.